This video covers 4 summer sessions at Clacton Pier. There's plenty to talk about, but not much to show. I'm here to mainly catch soles and rays. The first session's in July and the other 3 in August. I've arrived with Alex as the tide has started to run. It's ebbing and we're fishing it all the way down and up again. While setting up a rig for my second rod, I get a bite on the first. This seems a promising start since others on the pier haven't caught. And this was something I wasn't expecting, caught on the earth rig. It's a scorpion fish, which is a first for me from Clacton. I'm at the 4th shelter along the pier, and those anglers beyond me have already switched to the other side, the shore facing side. One of them's just pulled in a sole, so it's time for me to swap over as well. If I was exclusively fishing for rays and smoothhounds, then I would have stayed, but it didn't look like they were going to show, and I'd rather catch soles anyway. Just using ragworm for soles, but I'm also trying squid and bluey for other fish. Alex's comment denotes a lack of action, and it wasn't just the fishing, the beaches also seemed to be deserted. Normally, round about this point in the video, I'll be giving locational details, but I don't really need to do that. My previous video on Clacton Pier, fished in October, covers that. Details are in the description, and there's a link to that video in the top right hand corner. One of my rods has been cast straight down the side, and the other one about 10 yards from the pier. I'm occasionally moving and lifting the rigs to see if I can get any action, but nothing seems to be interested at this moment. Half an hour later we switched back to the other side. Someone closer to the entrance to this pier extension had just brought in a small smoothhound. I've now got one rod out for bigger fish, but I'm still using the earth rig down the edge. This is quite a good rig to use, if it doesn't tangle up, that is. get a couple of tiny knocks, but I miss them. Out goes the loop rig, which I haven't clipped down. I've got a bluey and squid wrap on the bottom hook, targeting rays. Mother rod taps again. I managed to hit that. It's only a tiny pouting, but it's better than nothing. I then get a fairly decent sole on, which unfortunately comes off on the way in. Next bit of bad luck, a decent eel comes off. With a switch to a boom rig, my first sole comes in. It's not that big, but I'm really happy with that. The others on the pier had already given up and gone home, but we started getting bites. A small schoolie follows. There are big bass to be caught, but generally show when the water's clearer. The wind has picked up and the water seems to have stirred up a bit. We're well into the ebb and the pull has eased off. I've given up on the race and I've got both rods out fishing for the soles. A smaller sole comes to the short wide boom rig. More bites seem to be coming between 15 and 20 yards out, but occasionally I'm casting a bit further. Pretty good bite this time. The culprit turns out to be a bootlace eel. Next bite produces my fourth sole.
But it's the same fish. Yeah.
And there's my fifth sole. So here's a quick look at the two successful rigs. Fair enough, you're not going to catch the rays and smoothhouse on these, but they're a good standby if you just want bites. And today seemed to be one of those days when fishing for big fish wasn't very successful. While we were there was only one small smoothhound and one small ray caught. However, Alex stole a show with a decent sole of just under £1. Since it was rather a difficult day, I was fairly pleased with my overall result. Nothing spectacular, but 14 fish in total. I did lose a big eel, and I did lose that big sole. We left it until August to come back and have another go. We got there a bit late and there were other anglers at the last two shelters who had already caught a couple of small rays. So we opted to fish the same area as before at the dogleg. So Alex took the second shelter and I was at the third. It was a pretty slow start for us and the other anglers had already stopped catching. I've just baited up the earth rig with ragworm, hoping for some soles. My other rig is a loop rig, which has got squid at the bottom and ragworm at the top. I'm casting to the distance that seemed to be more successful last time, about 20 yards out. Although it's sunny, it's not that warm on the pier. First bite comes to the earth rig, but I missed that. Then just after rebaiting and recasting that rig, I get a good bite on the other one.
There's something on.
Well, it's not a ray, but I'm well pleased with that. It's my first place from Clacton.
Not like your place. Hey, that's right, it's a keeper as well. Look. Keeper. Yeah. What did you get that? Raglan.
Having recast the loop rig, I then decided to change the earth rig over to a boom rig. In order to keep the booms nailed to the seabed, I've placed a drilled bullet above the rig. I've started down the side, but I will cast this rig further out. My first fish on the boom rig is a small scaldy bass. I've hooked another fish on the loop rig, but unfortunately it comes off on the way in. Been a bite on a boom rig. However, it's just another small schoolie. Time for a pan round and a look at the kit. I'm still using my 07s, although I think they are a bit too long for the pier. I'm still pretty undecided as to what to replace them with for pier fishing. Here are the two rigs that I'm mainly using today. That's more like it. It took a while, but I got my first sole. Not very big, but it's one of the targets achieved. All goes quiet on the outside, so it's switched to the other side of the pier. With the wind being straight off the North Sea, it is quite chilly now. With no bites there, it didn't take long for me to move back. Fortunately, my camera stopped recording, but both myself and Alex did start catching pouting. I caught 2 more soles, not much bigger than that first one. However, just before we had to pack up, Alex stole the show again with 2 big soles, one about a pound. A couple of weeks later we were back again, and I was determined to catch a ray. Our previous 2 sessions were pretty hard, and we seemed to have missed out on a period when the rays were feeding. Not the start I wanted, with a fish coming off a boom rig. At distance, I started with a short boom rig, but that wasn't successful, so I'm moving over to using a Essex rig. This has got squid at the bottom and ragworm at the top, just like the loop rig I was using. I'm thinking this gives me a better chance of catching something, rather than just using a standard penny pulley rig. You can see that on this occasion there was no one else on the pier when we arrived, so I've opted to fish the end shelter. At times I am fishing with 2 rigs out for rays, but I am also switching over to small fish rigs just in case there are some soles around. A frustrating start with missed bites and plenty of rig changes. Here's a couple of rigs that I've tried on this occasion. Eventually a fish comes in, and it's a tiny little schoolie. Today seems even harder than the previous two sessions, so I've got to be quite grateful for these. This schoolie was caught on the earth rig. Changed to fishing the other side. We did see a small ray caught here last time. With no bites on the bottom and spotting a decent fish top, I decided to set the float up. I spent a while running a ragworm through at half depth, and to my surprise I had 6 bites. Unfortunately, I missed all of these. I did have a go with strips of fish bait on small hooks, but I didn't get any bites on that. I didn't think the fish were garfish, I think my bites came from small schoolies. Either way, it's quite frustrating. Back to fishing the other side, and all I could have managed were small schoolies and the odd pouting. No bites on squid or bluey on the big fish rigs. Another pretty poor session, which ended up with 4 schoolies and 4 pouting. I didn't catch any soles, and the rays are still eluding me. And to rub it in, Alex managed to catch 2 thornbacks, not at all big, but on 6 O's. One thing to note though, a guy turned up just to fish the first 2 hours of the ebb and caught the skate. This was from the middle shelter and he hand-lined the fish up, it looked about 5 or 6 pound. Despite the fact we hadn't seen much action since we'd been coming, we decided to give it another go. Take too long from a boom rig to get into action. Never mind the size, but not having caught a sole last time we were here, I was very pleased to catch this one. Alex opted for third shelter, so I've gone into the second. Then 3 guys turned up to fish in front of the first shelter. With only the one bite on the seaward side, I decided to switch over to the other side. There's nothing happening there either, so I quickly gave up on that. And there's the first of the schoolies. Not exactly what I wanted, but at least it's a bite. No one else was catching, so at least it's better than nothing.
Which gave you the bigger bite, crab or the schoolie? I know. It's just nothing, is there?
Then comes a double shot of a sole and schoolie. The 3 guys to my right I packed up and went home. One of them did catch a fish, did catch a small ray, but that was 1 bite between 6 rods. I switched back to the other side to fish under the pier structure. Apparently, a couple of days back, someone had 24 bass from this area. Eventually I started getting bites here, but it was only from small schoolies. I know others have caught much bigger, but this is the largest we've seen since we've been fishing here. This was at low tide, and just before we started to pack away, we did spot some large fish around. A big shoal of mullet moved around the pilings and to the front of the pier. This was very frustrating since we were on a day ticket and had already overstayed our time. It took yet another session before I did finally catch my ray. By no means big, but I did have to add that to the end of this video. There are quite a few things that we learnt though. The main thing is, if you want to catch a decent sized ray or smooth hound, the best time is between about half an hour before the top of the tide and about 2 hours down. Most of our soles were caught either side of low water, which is also the time when we saw the mullet arrive. Day tickets cost £7.50 and fishing is meant to be between 8 o'clock in the morning and 6 at night. However, you got to time your sessions accurately, since to our cost, most of the decent fish were caught outside of those times. As always, it's a major advantage if you're a local, and you can purchase a season ticket, which means you can fish at any time that you like.